Welcome back to another Crop Walk Wednesday, and just to start off this video I'm going to show us spraying our maize here. So we're just putting out a foliar feed just to keep the open maize pushing along. Because we didn't sow under plastic, we feel we can afford to put foliar feed on it just to get that extra bit out of the maize and not to have it struggling at all. But it does look pretty dark green anyway. This headland now is, all the headlands are poor enough, but the centre of the field we are quite happy with. And as you can see out there, there is still a decent colour, and you can see my dad spraying it there with our John Deere 6320 and our 21 metre Berthaus sprayer. But I'll throw the drone up hopefully in the next field if this rain goes away. And that's why I'm stood here in the headland, because I'm trying not to get my mic soaked. But that's probably enough talking for the start here. Once we're back in the yard, I'll show you the compound, the liquid compound we're putting out, and we're right on the limit of when to put it out. We didn't think the maize was going to go as quick as it has. It is currently I actually don't know what date it is at all. Can you see now? The 25th of June. So it's only a week since I did the crop walk, and the maize is at the 8-leaf stage now, which is the latest you really want to spray it with foliar fertilizer. So we're cutting it close, but it'll be fine. And it wasn't meant to rain today, and it's not raining heavy. It's just that kind of misty light drizzle, which is kind of perfect for what we're doing right now. It'll just let the fertilizer run down into the plant. It's not like it's going to wash it off. But that is enough talking from me here at the start. So when we're back in the yard, I'll show you the compound we're going out with, and then I will continue the crop walk.
Told you to walk away. That was my first and last mistake. I'm blue without your face. But what can I do? 'Cause I'm just a sinking ship, and you're just a pair of lips that I've lost in the moment. All I want is for you to come back. Now I'm caught in the middle of life, and I need you to survive.
I completely forgot I was filming this video, and I only remembered there now when I went to close up the spray shed. But this is the liquid compound we were putting out on the maize. So it's 1866 plus TE. So TE is trace elements, and we also added in a bit of magnesium. We didn't think there was enough in the compound, so my dad added a small bit extra, but that is it. That's what we're putting out, and we'll get on into the crop walk. So now you join us a week after spraying the liquid or foliar feed onto the maize, and it's not looking too bad here. We're stood in quite a good spot, but as you can see, it's decent height to it. But if we come back over to a more normal piece, this is kind of the height you're dealing with. It's probably, you'd call it hip height, I'd say. So it's pretty good. This time last year our open maize looked very poor, so we are very happy with how it's looking this year compared to that. It is quite, or not quite, but it's a little bit thin. There's still a lot of space in it, but you look at it that way and there's not many spaces in it. Right where the camera is, you're up along one of the tram lines, so that would have been used to spray it for the herbicide twice and then put the foliar feed on, so that's why there's quite a gap there. But if you walked out of that, it's not too bad. So this is Prospect, and that taller stuff you're looking at going up at the angle there is Resolute. So you can see it does look a bit stronger, it's a bit taller, and the Prospect looks a bit shorter, but it's definitely come on a lot. It's not as bad as it was looking in the last crop walk. It was looking really poor, but there's a good rank green colour off them, and we're quite happy with the two varieties, and the open maize is definitely proving itself this year compared to last year. we'll just quickly look at the Resolute here just to show the difference in variety. So it's not that much taller, but it does look a bit stronger. It's always been looking stronger if you've been following along. The Resolute has definitely been looking a bit better. There's a bit of a gap there where the camera is, but other than that it's looking pretty good. As you can see, you look across the field there, it's filling out quite nice and it doesn't look too bad at all. But we'll try keep moving here and not have this video too long, but that's how the maize is looking. So just a little over hip height, or maybe just call it hip height, but not too bad. So we'll go look at the red clover. So now we're up here in our red clover field. This field was sowed in 2022, so this is its 3rd year. We sowed it as arable silage and we've taken 6 cuts of silage off it so far, and it's going for its 7th now, so it'll be 2nd cut. So this has been growing since the 10th of June, that's when we mowed it for first cut. And as you can see there, the clover is just about knee high, maybe a little less, but there's loads of clover there and the grass is down in the butt of it. It's been quite dry here in Ireland and this grass is just struggling a bit for moisture, but the red clover obviously isn't, because it's pushing on really hard there. So hopefully we'll get a 2nd cut around the 20th of July, I'm hoping. So it'll be fairly quick after its first cut, but we're just trying to get it back in rotation and hopefully get a 3rd cutting off it in September, the same as we did last year. Because if we leave it too long for the 2nd cut, the 3rd cut will be way too late and you're risking too much to try get good stuff. You may as well take 2 lighter cuts than 1 bigger cut and mess up your 3rd cut. That's kind of where we are with this, but that's not looking too bad. It'll be a nice 2nd cut come off that and it'll be good quality stuff to go in the pit with the arable silage. But we will move on to some other crop now. Or actually, all this has got so far, I've seen a lot of people on TikTok talking about liquid fertilizer and putting out way too much, or compared to what we put out. All this has got is 13 units of liquid N, and as you can see there is no deficiency in N. There's a lovely rank green colour off it and the clover is really pushing on. And we were looking at it yesterday of all the N nodules that the clover is fixing to the soil, and there's so much of it down there. It's really hard to believe how much N the clover is fixing to the soil, and it's still doing it even though this clover's been in the ground 3 years. So it's really nice to see, and it's nice to see the field still full of clover. This was stitched earlier in the year, but it's made little to no effect on it. I'd say we probably wasted our time stitching it, but it's something to learn and it was something to try. You'd rather say we did stitch it and it didn't do anything than why didn't we stitch it and be looking at a real gappy field. But there's definitely no gaps in that. It's a good thick sward of clover and grass, and we'll get some lovely silage off it this year again. So now we're here in our Florence spring barley, and I was nearly not going to video it because I said it hasn't changed much in 2 weeks, but I'd say it probably has. It's starting to turn a little bit. When you look at it closely, you can kind of see the ends of the awns browning off, but it's not looking too bad. Still a long way to go. And we're just looking at the odd oat plant in it. That was just oat seed that had made its way into the spring barley seed. It's not wild oats, but it's something interesting to look at. It's amazing the height of it, even though it's got the same treatment as that barley. We are kind of thinking about maybe going back to growing oats again to have something else in the rotation. So it's interesting to look at it and see the height of it compared to the barley. But might be something to look at for this winter or next year, just to have something different in the rotation, as I said. But we'll keep this video moving along. So if you've any questions about any of the crops you've seen so far, feel free to leave them down below in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you. But we'll go look at the winter barley now and you'll see how close it is to ready. So now we're here in our Joyeux winter barley, and I don't know how different it looks to 2 weeks ago, but from what we've seen it's definitely looking a lot more golden and a lot closer to ready. But still there's probably 5 days of ripening to go on it. It is getting to that, the grain's getting to that hard stage. You can barely put your nail into it and make a dent, but the odd one, the tiller heads, you still can get your nail into, so that's kind of what we're waiting on. just for those smaller heads to mature a bit more and for the headlands to ripen off. But at a whole we're pretty happy. It looks pretty decent. It'll be interesting to see what it does over the weighbridge, because that's the main thing. There's no point in saying you've got a really nice crop and then it only does 3 tonne over the weighbridge. But we've got high hopes for this. It went in late after the maize, the open maize, so I think it was the 16th of October we sowed this, and it's coming in nice and quick. But that was the whole plan. This is an early maturing variety, and I've seen lads down in Kilkenny cutting shoyu already. And if we'd sowed this the same time we sowed the Belfry, we'd already be in here. We would have been in here probably a week ago. But it's hard to know if we're going to change away from shoyu or not. It's pretty decent, but at the same time, could we do better is the thing we're trying to aim for. So as I said before, we'll see what it does over the weighbridge and then make our call on what varieties we're going to sow this year. But that's what the winter barley's looking like. We're not going to go look at the Belfry, but it is currently Wednesday, the day I'm uploading this video, and I'd say we'll be cutting barley next Monday or Tuesday. It'll be early next week anyway, because it's really coming around quite quick. I don't know if the microphone will pick it up, it probably won't, but I can hear the barley crackling. There's very little chance the microphone will pick that up, but you may just take my word for it. So that's kind of a sign of it getting close. When it's crackling a lot, that's when you know you're really ready, but it's not got to that stage just yet. There's probably, as I said, 5 days of ripening and then we'll be ready to go. But the straw's looking, it's not quite dead of itself yet up here, but in the Belfry it's definitely a bit closer to right. So we'll probably start in the Belfry and then come back up here and cut this second, because it'll only be a day in it, I'd say, or it'll even be the same day, because our contractors are after buying themselves a new combine, so we should get through barley pretty quick. But that's it from the winter barley, so we'll go look at beet, I think. So now we're here in another one of our first cut silage fields that we mowed around the 10th of June. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was around then sometime. And this field has got nothing, it's got no fertiliser at all, no slurry, nothing. It's just been left. And you can see there the clover has really come up in it, especially the white clover. If you look across the field you can see all the flowers, and the red clover is there, but it's not quite at the flowering stage just yet. But because we haven't put any fertiliser out, we're not going to take a second cut off this. It'll just be left and we'll graze it, and I think once we graze it we might take another cut of silage off it then with the other red clover field in September. Might try and make that work, because we do have a nice bit of grass growing, and grass growth is decent enough at the minute, but because there's no fertiliser there's no point trying to push it really hard for a second cut. We'll just let it and we'll graze it, and it'll be good grazing for the cows and calves. But we'll go look at the beet now. So now we're here in the fodder beet, and this variety that is behind me is Bolero, another one of the varieties that grew last year. And you can just see there the bigger beets that emerged at the start have met in the rows, but then the likes of this row right here didn't come up right at the start, and it took its time because of the lack of moisture. So it's a little bit behind, and you can kind of see the paler leaves, and it obviously hasn't met in the row. So it's just interesting to see between the different varieties. It looks like Bolero has struggled the most with the dry start it got. The rest of them don't seem to be as bad as this, but the main thing is the plants have eventually come up, and it shouldn't be too gappy by the time it comes to being lifted. It looks a bit uneven at the minute, but the rest of the varieties have evened back up quite a bit now, so eventually the Bolero probably will, or hopefully will. But it's looking pretty clean. It is definitely still dry out here. It's probably struggling for a bit of moisture. Like, there's moisture down there, but it could probably just do a little bit more. Everything's kind of in the same boat, just we're on the verge of needing moisture and not. Every time we're just getting a little bit of rain, we could just do with a little more and it keep everything growing along. The maize is probably the only thing that's not struggling for moisture, because it's pretty much covered in the ground, so it's doing fine, and it's a tropical plant anyway, so it doesn't need that much rain compared to your beet and your grass. And the spring barley's kind of gone past that stage as well. It doesn't need rain as much, but the beet is not looking too bad here. We'll go over now and look at the Delcante. So now we're here in the Delcante, and as you can see, it met in the rows. It's looking a good bit stronger. There's not really that line of pale leaves. There is definitely a few smaller beets in it in spots, but it's just hard to see because the bigger beets have grown up over it. But we're quite happy with that. The Delcante is probably the best variety. It's between Delcante and Jamin. They're both doing pretty well, even though it was dry at the start. All the beets struggled at the start, like there's no two ways about it. It all struggled, but the Delcante and the Jamin down below definitely seem to have recovered the best, and they're looking really quite nice. There's not much wrong with that beet at all. It's got a long way to go, but it's a good way to see it at this time of year. But that's probably enough on the beet. So we'll go look at the arable silage. We're now here in the arable silage, and as you can see, it's looking pretty good. It's good and tall. It's amazing how tall it is over here. We were in it yesterday further over in the field, and it definitely wasn't this high up. But the peas are all there, the barley's there, and most importantly the grass is in the butt with the clover. But we still have that problem with the weeds, the odd thistle and dock in it, so that'll have to be addressed once we mow it. But other than that, it's not looking too bad. This is where the pods are at the minute. The peas are in it, but they're very small. So that's kind of what we're waiting on, is just for the pods to fill, and then this will be coming off. But it's a long way ahead of where it was last year. The peas didn't flower till the 31st of July last year, and as you can see there, the flowers are out, and they've been out a long time. They've been out since the last crop walk, so we're well ahead, but we're kind of too far ahead now because we're waiting on grass to be ready to cover this in the pit, or the rats are going to have a field day. So that's kind of where we are with this, but we will go look at something else. Now we're down here in our other small bit of beet. This is Jamin, and as you can see there, it's just about meeting in the rows. I kind of thought it was further on, thought it was competing with the Delcante, but I'd say the Delcante is probably stronger and better filled out than this. The other thing that I was talking about in the last crop walk is the crows are in here and pulling up a few beets. That's kind of what a lot of the gaps are there, because in the rest of the field we had baby leaf. It's all gone now and disked back in because we're in another field, but we'd been scaring them off the baby leaf with the kite, and then they were coming here and then feeding on the beet. So it's better to have them in here than on the baby leaf, but it's just annoying to see the gaps in it because it's going to result in there being big beets and small beets when we're lifting it, but not too much we can do about it. It's not looking too gappy, but there's a few more gaps in it than you'd like to see. But that's how the Jamin is looking anyway. So this year definitely Delcante is our strongest variety. Jamin is probably second, Bangor third, and Bolero fourth. So just something to look at for next year. But that'll do it for today's crop walk. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. And if you did enjoy it, make sure you give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll hopefully do another crop walk in 2 weeks time, and we'll see how things are looking then. But that is it for me today, so I'll see you in the next one.